I genuinely think there's a crisis. Out of the FA Cup, 10th in the league. I know Liverpool have got this thing with the European Cup, the Champions League, but they're not getting past Real Madrid. So season's going to be over in February, as far as I'm concerned, and questions need to be asked of the recruitment and the money FSG give Liverpool, especially when Liverpool were on top. Let's not forget, 2 years ago, Liverpool were considered the best team in the world, and there is a case of, you strengthen when you are in that position, and they never really did it. But questions have to be asked of Klopp as well, and a loyalty to some players. Naby Keita's still been at the club. I don't know why. Barely plays for Liverpool. Ox still being there. I love Firmino up front. Can't keep him fit, so what's the point? As good as he is, what's the point if you can't keep him fit? I think we see the decline of Jordan Henderson, seen the decline of James Milner. Great to have those players around, but again, you need to strengthen when you start to see the decline. No cover or no pressure on Trent as a right-back cover. They brought in a young kid from Scotland who's not going to really pressure Trent. So all over the pitch, that's Klopp. There was 11 put out yesterday. That's good enough to beat Wolves. Good enough. Not to get smashed 3-0. This is a Wolves side that up until yesterday, I think it's the lowest scorers in the Premier League. Don't score.
They still are.
Still are, even though they got 3 yesterday. There you go. They don't score. They scored 3. Could have been 4 or 5. By the way, it could have been 4 or 5. I tweeted, and a lot of Liverpool fans got into me for some reason. I tweeted that if Alisson wasn't in goal for Liverpool, we'd be way down the league. Like, we're 10th now with Alisson. I still think the best goalkeeper in the world in goal for us. He makes save after save. And then even he must think, what's going on? And look, we can point to the fact that Liverpool have had injuries. Everyone's got injuries. Every team in the Premier League, every team has had injuries. I remember Arsenal, what are they going to do when Gabriel Jesus goes? Fine, Nketiah comes in. Every team has had problems. This Liverpool team, to say they've fallen off the rails or their wheels have come off or any other analogy you want to use is an understatement. I don't know what's going on, but there's no way from what happened last season for Liverpool to be 10th this season. Any other manager, and I'm certainly not saying Klopp sugar, but any other manager, that song about you're being sacked in the morning would be singing around every single ground, because you can't be 10th in the league, not this Liverpool squad.
No, absolutely spot on. And I think, I'm looking at the bottom half of the table now, and if Alisson wasn't in goal, then, you probably take another 6-7 points off Liverpool, really.
100%.
Look, let's talk about Jurgen Klopp first and foremost. Should he be under pressure? Under pressure, yes, but for his job, no. He's earned the right to say we go again.
Yeah, of course.
What he's done at that club is nothing short of sensational. And first Premier League title in 30 years, to win the Cup with big ears again. I think he's been great. As I say, I think only a clairvoyant would have been able to see what would have happened this season after being 2 games away from the quadruple. However, he's now got to ask himself, and I think the owners have got to ask him, although how close are they to selling, or do they not want to invest too much because they just want to sell? But can he go again? If he can, you give him the tools to do it, because I believe he is the right man. The question, as I said earlier, is what way does he go now then? Does he go the intense route of the high press that opposition just can't live with him? If so, they have to recruit those type of players. They really do. Now, I would agree with you with pretty much every player you've said there, bar Henderson. I think in the World Cup he came on. I thought he was really good for England. And there's so much that you can't underestimate what goes on behind the scenes in the dressing room on a daily basis, the standards that he would set. So I would definitely keep him in the side, but also, even if he wasn't in the side on a regular basis,
I want him and Milner around the club still.
The Trent thing is an interesting one, because I think he's one of the most talented players this country has ever produced. I'm talking players, not right backs, players this country has ever produced. But boy, is he not a defender.
Can't defend.
He hasn't got the kind of thought pattern of, I need to turn around and run and sprint, straight line. Where do I need to go? How do I stand up? Body shape. So he either needs... What's happened to him? I think for years he's not been that defender, but he does need someone now, I think, and he's one of those players, and it's not intentional, and I think it's the same for Man City. You can see Pep Guardiola being angry at the moment, but for City to do the three-peat, that's only ever happened 3 times since World War II. It's difficult to do. The players have dropped off just a few percent. Trent is one of those as well. He's also being exposed. So first of all, absolutely, get a right back who will make him think, I better get on it, subconsciously as well as consciously. But also a little bit more protection, because he's never been a defender, to be honest with you.
And he used to have that protection from Henderson or Fabinho.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or Wijnaldum.
Right?
Yeah.
You go, we're covering.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Salah used to run back a bit more as well.
You're right about the injuries, but if you take out key players of any side, Addy, and there's probably only and look, there's only one player from Arsenal that's happened so far. If you take out 3 or 4 key players, then it'd be interesting now that the window and Arsenal have brought a little bit more depth in, but still. I think 7 of their 11 have played every single Premier League game. Take out 3 or 4 of those and they'd be affected. City perhaps the only one that wouldn't be. So I do think you have to factor in the injuries to a point, because I think Luis Diaz...
But you factor them in for Liverpool maybe not making top 4.
No, it's bigger than that.
You don't factor them in for Liverpool finishing...
Top 10.
Top 10.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We're a point in front of Villa.
But I think this is where it's a number of things, but the bigger picture here is that Jurgen Klopp has to say, right, this season, while they never say publicly this season is a write-off, and I know what you're saying, will they get past Real Madrid? Well, you've got the 2 giants of European football in terms of winning the European Cup and Champions League. So I wouldn't rule Liverpool out, just like I wouldn't rule Chelsea out of going deep into the competition, because we know what happened a couple of seasons ago when Tuchel first came in. You never know what can happen with Liverpool. But in terms of the league, he almost has to write it off and say, where do I go here? I'm now looking at my players and see who can come with me. Does he have the hunger first and foremost? If he does, he's earned the right to stay there. What's happening with the owners? I think they need to go if they can't compete, because Liverpool are 250 to 300 million pound needing in terms of spending. Crazy. Because Chelsea have ranked up the prices of others. We talked about what the money they've spent, what Borussia Dortmund want for Jude Bellingham, what West Ham would want for Declan Rice, and they're well within their rights to say that. But I think they're 2 or 3 midfielders away, and maybe a defender or 2 as well. Yeah. And that's going to cost a lot of money.
A lot of money. Klopp's been tetchy all season, but a bit more tetchy after the game. Liverpool boss didn't appreciate being asked a question by the Athletics Liverpool reporter James Pearce. This is what happened.
That has been a theme throughout the season, starting so slowly. I know you said you can't explain it, but is it do you think it is a mentality thing? Does it make you look at how you prepare for games? The fact that they can then start a game so slowly when you've had a whole week on the training field?
It's very difficult to talk to you, but if I'm 100% honest, I would prefer not to do that. You know why? For all the things you wrote, so if somebody else wants to ask that question, then I answer it, and if not, you ask it.
Yeah, that's obviously Jurgen Klopp refusing to be asked a question by James Pearce, who used to write for Liverpool Echo, now writes as a Liverpool reporter for The Athletic. And what Klopp then went on to do, just as the audio cut off, was to ask someone to ask exactly the same question to Klopp so Klopp can answer it. Don't like that. Obviously, look, there's something going on, and he's a writer. He's going to write his things. You're not going to be happy with every single thing that James Pearce writes. He's a Liverpool fan. He's going to maybe sort of touch the bone a little bit, but I don't like that. It almost shows me signs of things not going too well for Klopp when you start going at reporters like that.
Things are not going well, Adam. I mean, that's an understatement. But what I would say is, while you wouldn't want it to happen, and I don't know what James has written in the past, clearly he's written something that Jurgen Klopp feels is close to the bone. James is he's able to write whatever he wants. Yeah. But Jurgen Klopp is able to respond to however he wants. Now, things like this only happen when there's a crisis, and I think there is a crisis at Liverpool. I think you're right to use that word. But the bottom line is, Sir Alex Ferguson used to do this type of thing. He used to ban people. I remember he used to refuse to come on Match Today, didn't he? Remember the BBC didn't want to come on? He would do what he wanted to do if he felt he needed to do a siege mentality. Now, Jurgen Klopp, I feel, is able to do whatever he wants to do. And again, he's earned the right. But what I would say is, does it actually help him? Because it's a valid question. The bottom line is that was a good question. Yeah,
that's probably why he said, "Can someone ask me? I want to answer it."
Clearly, it wasn't about the question. It was just about him and what had previously been written. And I don't know what has previously been written. But what it does show, the bigger picture here, is that Jurgen Klopp, it feels under pressure. This is not what Klopp is naturally about. And, I when he was first coming around into the Premier League and things went, I think did they lose 4-3 at Bournemouth or something? And then he said, this is a great game of football, and, that type of reaction. We are not seeing this, and it's completely changed now.